Good evening, everyone. Here on a busy night here on FTSN, FTN Extra. This is College Blitz. I'm Russ Morgan. Always here with my man Q. Q. We've been through 6 weeks of college football. It feels like it's flying by. I don't like it, but we got some great games. How we doing tonight?
Man, I'm great, man. I'm great. It's week 7, but I'm also sad it's week 7. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about it at the beginning of the season. You know how quick these seasons fly by, man. I wish the off season flew by as quick. The off season, when we're looking forward to football, seems to just drag on. And when football finally gets here, man, you blink and it's gone. Obviously, as a Canes fan, clearly I'm happy with the way the season's gone. Obviously undefeated, looking really good. But off this week, so I don't have to stress about really any games. I can just sit back, casual observer, not have to worry, and enjoy an amazing week 7 slate. Man, looks really good. With just a ton of great games, man. There's one on tonight. What did I see tonight? South Florida and
That's tomorrow.
Was it tomorrow? Okay, I'm sorry.
That has implications. That could be that one.
South Florida, North Texas. South Florida, North Texas tomorrow. North Texas undefeated. South Florida, one loss, obviously, to Miami. So, it'll be implications in terms of having South Florida continuing to win, to help that resume that Miami's building, because really from here on out, Miami doesn't have a whole bunch of big games left. They played their best games or the toughest games so far. So they're going to need the people they beat to continue to keep doing their thing and winning and strengthen up that resume for Miami for the end of the year.
Well, that's great for Miami, but the real implication of that game is maybe one of those teams getting in for the Group of 5 bid is the real implication. So, good for Miami, but that's the real implication. But it was a slower Saturday last week. Before we get, I know Q probably wants to go on that Miami win, but did have, one really interesting game where James Franklin does it again, losing to coachless UCLA, who didn't even have an interim coach, who I think is Jerry Neuheisel was the offensive coordinator. Lose to him in the Rose Bowl, empty as all hell as usual, 42-37. Is this the end of James Franklin? The guy can't win the big games, and then you lose to UCLA.
I saw a lot of references to Game of Thrones for old Jerry Neuheisel. I can't remember which Game of Thrones character they were saying he resembled, but they put it up during one of the recasts, and I was like, dude, I can see it. It was just like the hair looks like just something, just looks like a character out of Game of Thrones. But man, listen, first of all, I am surprised. What I'm not surprised at is the fall off after the hype train that was the off season, when it comes to Penn State and James Franklin. And listen, again, right? We talked about it, right? And we agreed that the hype train was almost out of control, right? People, I think, if I'm not mistaken, were they the number 1 team to start the season?
1 and 2.
Yeah, so they were in one poll. In one poll, they were 1. So I know that. I know at least in one poll, they were the number 1 team.
But 1 and 2 aren't ranked anymore with Penn State.
In Texas, exactly. So listen, it's a yearly conversation. About middle to 2/3 of the way through the season. Will James Franklin fill in the blank? Will they beat Ohio State? Will they not? Listen, he made the playoff last year, right? Which obviously, hey, good for him. But coming into this year, the talk was, hey, listen, this is an even better team. One more year of Drew Aller. Now they're really good on the outside at receiver. Great O-line, great defense. This is the year. This is the year. I literally was scrolling through Twitter not too long ago, and somebody I follow shared ESPN. I think it was an ESPN graphic, where they had Penn State, beating I believe it was Georgia in the national title. Whichever one of these writers was that, it was their prediction, and it was Penn State beating Georgia, in the title game. And so again, man, listen, it's always interesting to me, year to year, team and teams, that get hyped and and the whole deal. And listen, this just to me goes back to you as in the networks, right? ESPN and Fox, specifically have been trying to convince people of these 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks that were going to be, the best quarterbacks in the country, and they're going to, and literally the whole time, and it because we're on the same podcast, and we've been on, I've been on 405 Sports Now with Will, and saying the same thing. Like, I'm telling you, these quarterbacks are overrated. I'm telling you, these quarterbacks are not what the media is making them out to be. And here we are, right? We're about to start week 7, and we're really seeing which quarterbacks are the cream of the crop, and which ones were just media hype and media creations.
I mean, and everybody on this network, Bobby knows my opinion, Drew Aller, I think. And the big mainstream media, when they get on a guy, they get on that. They're on that guy. We've seen it all the time. You saw it when LeBron was in Miami. You couldn't see Stephen A. not right in his, every time. I mean, but ESPN, they get on a guy, they ride him hard. And I mean, they're the experts, but are they? We've seen it. They call this guy the next number 1 pick. Everybody was, he's going to be the greatest. I'm like, are you watching the games? Do you watch what he plays? I mean, yes, you're going off of, he's 6'5", he's got a cannon. I'm like, yeah, but watch what he does. I mean, it's the same thing with Anthony Richardson. I'm like, yeah, you saw the Utah game because that's probably the only one of 3 games you watched, and he looked great. But then watched every other game, he looks mediocre at best. So the Cade Klubnik, I'm like, Cade Klubnik is a good quarterback, but is he an NFL quarterback? I don't know. I mean, he's very athletic, but I'm like, watch him against the big time teams. He struggles. So it's these big networks that get on him and they ride him hard, and like you saw this year, you saw it with Shedeur. Shedeur could be great, but who made Mel Kiper the genius of he knows everything about football, that everybody's an idiot for not taking Shedeur Sanders? I'm like, there's reasons. Who made this guy the end all be all? He knows better because he got on NFL Draft and was on it before. Just like the Colts owner said, who the hell is Mel
Kiper? Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? I don't have to do what he says, or I don't have to draft who he says we have to draft. No, listen, and look, okay, as it relates to Mel Kiper is a guy who gets paid to have an opinion, right? So and I'm sure Mel Kiper makes really, really good money. He's been doing it for a really long time. And so, listen, if he beats the drum for somebody, then hey, that's fine. But, it was, listen, I would say overall Mel Kiper knows what he's talking about, most of the time. Right. I definitely wouldn't say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think, but also just like anybody else, right? It's a best guess at this point. Like you're literally guessing who it is, that's going to be, taken where, I think a lot of times you have an idea, right? I mean, you have a range, and what they're going to do in the NFL is really a crapshoot, right? It depends, as we know, it's where you end up, right? And like so many people have said, quarterbacks and people, they tend to go with the quarterbacks, but players in general, are more ruined than they ever are developed, right? And unfortunately, at the top of the draft, for these players being taken there, the teams drafting at the top of the draft are drafting at the top of the draft for a reason, because they're not good. Right. Not only, and this is the thing to remember, for anybody watching, and whenever you're doing these analysis, is it's not that it's not necessarily a good team. We know they're not a good team most of the time. Right now, if you trade up, right, there's been instances, right, where teams are trading up, and well, that's different. But when you organically land at the top of the draft in the NFL, you're not a good team. You're not a good 53-man roster. You're not a good organization, right? And because you're not a good organization, right? Then you're taking in these players, and again, they're getting bad coaching, right? They're not being developed. They're not being put in situations, to succeed. And so you see them, at times, right? Like, listen, look at Baker Mayfield, right? Baker Mayfield was drafted by the Browns, had a couple, decent years there, right? And then you see him now, he's bounced around a little bit, landed somewhere in an organization, that tends to be run the right way. They draft well. They surrounded them with talent, right? And now, obviously, I think those trials and tribulations have suited him well. He's learned, and he's made himself I would argue a top 10 quarterback, really across the league, right? And so, again, but that tends to happen. But again, the Browns are a perfect example. How many number one draft picks have they had? How many, top 5 picks have they had? And they just don't work out. Myles Garrett has worked out, right? They've had some guys, but Myles Garrett was going to basically, I would argue, he was going to work out wherever he landed. But again, you look at these organizations at the top, how many times have the Jaguars, drafted high and failed? The Browns, the Bengals, so many of these teams that draft high and end up just ruining these players, right? And then they may leave and become, good somewhere else. So, that again, it's we see it every year. And again, it's never going to change, because again, man, these organizations are run just poorly. But again, that's just a little rant. Who did let's see right here? Who did we have host?
Thanks, Ultimate Sports Guy. Yeah, Buka's balling
So
out.
Buka will win Rookie of the Year, be a first-year Pro Bowl and Rookie All-Pro coming from an OSU fan and sports and this guy here on YouTube. For Ultimate Sports Network, yeah, man. Listen, I think if you've been watching football at all, any this year, I think you can definitely see that for sure. Obviously, the kid's been, an absolute, an absolute stud to start the year. It's coincided with obviously, a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and he's obviously gotten a lot of opportunity, with at the beginning, Mike Evans, being healthy and Ibuka not necessarily getting the bulk of the attention. But now that Mike Evans is hurt, and he's essentially the wide receiver one, man, he's taking that thing and run with it, man. He's looked really good. A guy who's, I remember in the draft process, everybody was raving about him. Everybody was raving about how polished this guy is, how polished, how he was going to impact. He's going to make an impact, I should say, day one, and he's definitely lived up to that. A guy who you can see, moving forward. A guy who's going to be, perennially in the Pro Bowl. A guy who, next year I wouldn't be surprised to see the C on his chest as a captain, and he's looked really, really good so far for sure, man. So Ultimate Sports Network, man, appreciate you commenting for sure.
To get back to college football, obviously a little slower week, but we did have Miami won 28-22 over Florida State. Thomas Castellanos was 25 for 45, 272, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Carson Beck, 20 for 27, 241, 4 touchdowns, 89.1% QBR. Malachi Tony, 7 for 107. As his nickname in high school was Baby Jesus, and I saw something from Mario Cristobal. It was hilarious. He was like, he was on one of those, like, not PYT. Yeah. He's like, he goes, did you watch film on Malachi Tony in high school? He's like, well, his nickname was Baby Jesus. He's like, yes, I am a Catholic, but I do watch my film. But I mean,
I saw that. That was a great line.
What'd you think of the game? I mean, Carson Beck looked pretty solid. I mean, yeah, I thought, in my opinion, the end score was a little less indicate of the game. I thought Miami was in control most of the game, and I mean, I was back and forth between baseball and football. I mean, I don't think the end score is indicative how the game was played. I thought Miami had control basically the whole game.
Well, listen, I guess on my end, I'm going to sound slightly biased, right? And that's okay. But I feel like I am being honest. I saw a lot of content online with some Florida State content creators, giving themselves some pats on the back and some moral victory, type conversation and stuff based on the final score. Listen, if you follow football, right, and you have any sense about what it is you were watching on Saturday, you can't tell me that Miami didn't prove that they were clearly the better team, right? For a little over 3 quarters, right? I mean, they dominated that game, right? Florida State had a great opening drive. They kicked a field goal, and that's really all there was to it. Miami, when the next 28 points were scored by Miami, moved the ball easily up and down the field. Florida State lined up to stop the run, which I can't blame them for doing, based on what Miami had done, coming into that game. But then what happened, right? Carson Beck playing in dry weather for the first time in, the entire season, believe it or not, given clean pockets time and time again, carves up the Florida State defense, right? And for anybody that was, for some reason, doubting what it is that Carson Beck, is able to do, when he's healthy and he's got help. Well, you know what? I hope you're happy, and whatever projection it is you had in terms of like Carson Beck and what he wasn't going to do this season, I think those have, those projections, I think are kind of out the window, right? I've talked to a lot of Georgia fans, here recently, and I don't understand the disdain they have for this guy. If anybody who follows college football follows the Georgia program specifically, you see how many guys they had, arrested over the past few years. You want to know, who didn't get arrested, on that long list of people, that did? Carson Beck, right? Right. I mean, the guy, listen, everything's hearsay. Everything is his face, and he doesn't, you want to know what the guy is? He's a good quarterback. The guy is about ball, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, he's about, being a celebrity. No, he wasn't, and he isn't. Who he was dating at the time, right? That's essentially her job, is to be a TikTok queen, right? A TikTok princess, I should say. And really, right, that's what he was dating, and he kind of got caught up in the middle of that because she would post him and the whole deal. But if you look at, anything he's got going on in terms of socials and everything, that wasn't him. That was never him, right? And so, I think a lot of people, again, jumped on this, Beck is trash train, and he's not gonna this. And listen, look at what he's been at Miami, right? Look at what he's been with competent coaching, with a strong supporting staff. Look at what he's done. He's at the top of the Heisman favorites list. Do I think he's going to win it? No, I mean, I wouldn't say he's going to win it. But again, to be in the running, this late in the season, for this offense to look the way it's looked with him at the helm, with him, to have, just again, at this point, he's thrown, I think he's 3 picks, no turnover worthy, throws the other day against Florida State, carved them up 20 for 27, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, 89 QBR, severely outplayed Tommy Castellanos, so on and so forth, man. I mean, listen, in the words of a very famous, NFL coach, it's not they are who we thought they are, but he is who I thought he was, right? And he's continuing to prove that. And with that guy at the helm, I think Miami's going to be really, really tough to beat.
I don't know. I don't know about a moral victory after you lose to Virginia and then lose to Miami. That means you've lost 2 games in the ACC. A moral victory for that. Losing 2 conference games, it's going to be tough for Florida State to bounce back, especially with the ACC's strength isn't as deep as the SEC or Big Ten. And then you're going to have the group of 5s. You're going to still have a Notre Dame who's still going to be in the conversation because of their schedule and who comes in from the Big Ten and the SEC. Would get 2 teams, if not could get 3 in some cases, like we saw last year. But, I mean, he's looking good. You got an off week. You got a very softer schedule. You don't have Georgia Tech on it. You don't have You don't have Clemson anymore. I mean, so I mean, I think it's clear sailing for them. I mean, you got Louisville, you got Syracuse, but I mean, SMU. I don't see them losing much this year if they play the way they played. If they play the way they've been playing the first, couple weeks, where they played against, Florida State, Texas and Notre Dame and USF and Florida, I don't see that happening with a slip up on.
Yeah,
on
the schedule in the ACC, man, it just plays out so weird. Obviously, I mean, you've got it. I believe it's 17 teams, and obviously not everybody can play everybody. They just approved not too long ago going to a 9-game ACC schedule the way everybody else is doing it, ACC or the SEC and Big Ten specifically. But even then, right? I mean, you can't play everybody. But when you look at some of these teams and who they're not playing, it's kind of mind-boggling, right? And I know these schedules are made up, most years, right, well in advance and everything. But
Clemson's going to have a tough time still to get back in that picture for sure.
Yeah, just like Ultimate Sports Night, we're saying, man, I think Clemson, they've got 2 ACC losses, if I'm not mistaken, correct? They've lost to Syracuse and they've lost to Georgia Tech, right? So, that's going to be tough to come back from, right? They're back in the ACC title picture with back-to-back FSU losses, by the way. I listen, I don't know that Clemson, I don't know that Clemson's hopes are tied really to what FSU has done. I think when you're looking at Clemson, just their individual performance this year, I think they've got 2 losses, right? And so aside from whatever aside from whatever FSU has done, you still got to worry. Listen, I think Virginia is a real player in the ACC. I think you still have to worry about Georgia Tech, being a team that's kind of standing at the end of this thing. And there's a scenario where Miami, Virginia, and Georgia Tech could all end up tied at the end of the year, right? So imagine what a disaster that would be for the ACC if that were to happen. So
I don't see them beating FSU. No, that Clemson team's not looking right.
Well, listen, I wouldn't push back on that necessarily, right? But I think listen, until this season ends, I'm not ready to just say, well, Clemson has no chance against anybody. I think Clemson now, listen, on the O-line, I think they're not as strong as I think people were making them out to be. I think on the D-line, even with all that NFL talent that they supposedly have, I don't know that they're that great. But again, overall, Clemson is a talented team. And I don't think that – I just think they're the ultimate crapshoot right now. I think going into any game, I think they could win any game. But at the same time, based on what they've showed, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost another game or 2 or more, right? And so, there again – I don't know that Clemson is necessarily, back into anything based on what FSU has or hasn't done. I think they're both going to have, trouble getting into the ACC title game at this point based on what they've showed. And they're obviously the results now, with both of them having 2 ACC losses.
Well, Q, let's get into some games this week. Sorry, I'm pushing. I really, the Yankees kind of messed everything up this week. I really double booked.
I didn't want to bring it up.
I will say this, and not a lot. I know because I see Red Sox fans all over. I see Dolphins fans all over Twitter now because I got so many of them on Twitter. I will be the most, and the Dodger fans they shit talk so much last year. I'm like, I'm the most honest, but it's like, I'll tell you how it is. I'm like, the Blue Jays were the better team in that series. They were the better team all year. You can't win too many ball games with 2 hits going into the 7th inning. It's not. That's so. It's like, it's fine. I'm like, that's how it is. That's how it. It's just like you didn't do what you do. I'll be honest about my team. I'll trash talk my team. We got a big problem that goes past Aaron Boone, who gets the brunt of it because yes, he is the coach, but it's really not all his fault. But I'll be honest. It's like, hey, they were the better team. That's just like the Dodgers were the better team last year because, things fell their way. You can't win too many baseball games having that, not scoring with guys and getting hits with running in scoring position. They had 2 hits going into the 8th inning. But we got some solid games. The Ultimate Sports Network was talking about it. Ohio State, Illinois, number 1 versus number 17 in Champaign. What's the spread? Spread is Illinois is getting 14.5. I don't know. I'm not a huge gambler anymore, which is probably a good thing because I like betting on March Madness and I'll throw some college football games in there. But after what we saw with that Illinois Indiana game where they just put a shellacking on them, Ohio State looks solid with yes, losing 2 coordinators, but with Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia, they seem like they haven't lost a step.
Yeah, half a step.
Yeah.
Man, maybe. Man, look, I just think Ohio State is so talented, man. Right? When you look at we had questions. Obviously, we talked about it. When you look at what it is they lost, I had some questions for sure. Right? Julian saying obviously being a really talented dude but hadn't played. Right? And then you lose a really good offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly, a really good defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, right? Who ends up going to Penn State and look at what that's done for him, right? Exactly. Dick, pardon my French. But, and then with what they lost, in the draft, I just assumed, that they would take a step back. Clearly that hasn't happened. I think now when you're looking at the resume, I think clearly the opening week, win against Texas, is really not that great a win at all, right? Texas now is unranked, looks horrendous on offense, with everybody's darling, at quarterback, and so that win definitely, again, is not that great at this point. Ohio State does look good, and Ohio State, I think end of the season they're going to have something to say, in the Big Ten, but again, let's not. If you're talking about this week, I think they handle Illinois, and I think Ultimate Sports Network. I think he mentioned something about that earlier, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was. What was he saying?
He said they're wearing the white uniforms and subs.
Yeah, regardless of uniforms, I don't get the. He's got it up here. So he says I don't get the point of everybody saying Illinois will upset Ohio State. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't think this game is going to be close, if I'm being honest. Again, I think to me, when you're looking at what it is Ohio State has, I think that Illinois, yeah, they've been a cool story. And there it is, his previous comment. I think Illinois is heading in the right direction. I think Brett Bielema has that program, heading in the right direction. A program that, by and large, over the majority of my time following college football has been really, really mediocre with a few exceptions. They've had some decent teams.
Who's watching Illinois football back in the day?
They have not had much to talk about, over, again, my time watching college football. But there again, Brett Bielema has done a good job, and Brett Bielema's a really good coach, has that team going in the right direction. But I think this week, man, I think they're in trouble. I think Ohio State, comes into Old Champaign and handles them, again, I don't think it's going to be much of a game really at all.
I think the questions about Ohio State were valid, just knowing what they lost, and obviously losing Will Howard and bringing in Julian Sayin.
Everything they lost on the draft. How many people had drafted?
Yeah, you lose Will Howard, who's a 5-year, senior. And you bring in a freshman quarterback. He's looked great, but I think they're valid. But Ohio State, like a lot of those, they don't rebuild. They just reload with the recruiting. I don't see Illinois being able to handle Ohio State, defensively or on the offense with, easily the best offensive player in college football.
Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, man, but I mean, Brett Bielema, there's no knocking what he's done. He's turned that program into not just a cupcake win. He's turned that program into, a top 25 team that can beat you. But I mean, sticking with the Big Ten, because there's some really good games in the Big Ten. Because I mean, we're on this Big Ten kick. Let's stick. We got potential. I know my man Bobby was in before we even was in, even before we went on. You got, I mean, and this is like where I go. ESPN and all the big ones, Fox and Colin Cowherd and all those guys, they're on them. They were riding Arch hard before he even played a game. Just because
before he had ever started anything of consequence. He had started 2 games. He had played a mop-up duty behind.
They were riding his jock hard.
Exactly.
And now look at him. And now, he's number 1 pick. Drew Howard's the best quarterback. But we go to this game. We got 2, Dante Moore, potential, could be a number 1 overall pick. Who knows? A guy who stumbled at UCLA and now is looking great at Oregon. You know what? He's got 14 touchdown passes to 1 interception. And Fernando Mendoza, who's got 16-1. 2 guys nobody was, really talking about.
So I will say, so people, based on what I follow, and what I read and keep up with, I think a lot of people were talking about Fernando Mendoza. I think as a Miami fan, he's a guy who's born and raised in Miami. Played high school there and the whole deal. And I think when he hit the portal, I think there was some talk, and I think there was interest from Miami. I just don't think they had him, rated higher than they had Carson Beck. And so I think Carson Beck was number 1 on their list, and obviously the rest is history. I saw Mendoza play a couple times last year based on him being in the ACC, and obviously, he played against Miami, and played pretty well. I was surprised that, when I did watch him play, how well he moved. I didn't think he was able to run, the way he does. I underestimated that part of his game, but I think now, you're looking at the numbers he's putting up in this Curt Cignetti offense. I think I didn't see that coming. I thought he was going to be really good. I didn't think he'd be this good. Now so there's number 1, overall draft pick talk, with Mendoza and the whole deal. Again, a little bit surprised at that. Not surprised that he's good, just a little bit surprised at kind of, the rise, that he's been on. And so, again, you got to like what he's doing in that offense. I think a guy who, again, who can run it, who can throw it, a guy who's clearly, a leader, just leading that offense, putting up a ton of points. I think on the Dante Moore side of things, I think, his first year starting, I don't personally see him, as a guy. What's that? Well, in Oregon, I should say. I don't know necessarily. We'll see what the rest of the year brings. And I'd be interested to see kind of what the hype on him is in terms of if he decides to pursue the draft. I'd be curious to see how that goes. But nevertheless, man, I think, in terms of current day and what week 7 brings, 2 guys at the top of the Heisman front runners list. Both teams look really, really good. I think Oregon going to Indiana is really intriguing. I'm really interested to see how this game goes. I would not be shocked if Indiana wins this game, though. I think Oregon has the advantage on the line of scrimmage, which obviously is important. But I would not be shocked. What do you have the spread? You know what the spread is on this game? I haven't even looked at it. I'm not sure what it is.
Oregon, Indiana State's getting 6.5.
Indiana, right? Indiana.
Oh yeah, not State. Indiana.
Yeah, or Larry Bird. So 6.5. Oregon.
That's a lot. But, I mean, I'm with you. I don't see this. I mean, 6.5's a lot. But I mean, Indiana's got a lot of good play. I mean, both teams on both sides have a lot of good playmakers on both sides. But I mean, Indiana, you got Elijah Sarrett, who's 31, who's got 412 yards, 6 touchdowns. You got Omar Cooper Jr., who's got 408 for 6 touchdowns. I mean, on the Oregon side, that tight end is a freak, is huge. But I mean, I think they got him a lot of him on the outside with their skill players. And then you got Roman Hemby. If I messed up that last name, I mean, he's got 351, no touchdowns on the ground, and you got Kalen Black, who's got 344, 2 touchdowns. So I mean, they've got a lot of weapons, a lot of skill. This Indiana team's got a lot of weapons.
Yeah, again, we'll see. This will really be the the true test, obviously. For Indiana, I think a lot of people could be skeptical, about what they've done, who they've done it against, right? I think Ultimate Sports Network, I think is kind of bringing that up, but again, they're going to get a chance on Saturday to prove that they're real, right? I think
again, I've heard 63 points on Indiana. So, I mean, that's not really
on Illinois.
Right? And Indiana put 63 on Illinois.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, if we're calling them
Illinois, and Illinois is good. They're not great. Again, we'll see. I mean, this game is going to determine a lot, man. It's going to determine a lot. To see who the favorite is. With next to Ohio State, right? I think that this will definitely start to create some separation. And whoever loses game, I think, could be on the outside looking in, come end of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm ready for a great game right off the bat, which I love it. Right? Just, 12.
Is that big noon?
I think that's a big noon. It's a 3:30 start. So, I mean.
It is. Yeah. Hey, but okay. Well, that's not bad though. Cause look, that's a 3:30 kick. Right, but you got at 12. We already talked about Ohio State, Illinois, which I could, and then, but you also got obviously in the SEC, you got some.
You got some SEC. You got going into the SEC. You got undefeated number 14 Missouri playing 4-1 number 8 Alabama.
Alabama is slowly starting to They're. I think a lot of people wrote them off after that loss to Florida State, and I don't necessarily think, because especially the way they looked, right? So you always have to take Alabama seriously. I get it. Nick Saban's not there anymore in the whole deal, but that team is still super, super talented. I don't think it's a team you can just, write off after one loss. The thing that you have to start to look out for, with them now as the season goes on is, yes, they've played better. But now you're playing against a Missouri team whose strength is where? On the ground. And what is the weakness right now for Alabama? Defending the run. Which is crazy when you talk about an Alabama defense, right? A defense run by Kane Womack. They've always been on the line of scrimmage. They're always stout. They always play the run really well. But this isn't your uncle's Alabama defense, right? I mean, you're looking at them now; they're vulnerable. Florida State, ripped them on the ground, and I think you really have to pay attention to the starting running back for Missouri, Hardy, right? Is it Amir Hardy? Is that his name? I think he leads the country in rushing. And so I think this is going to be, one of those games that I think Ahmad Hardy, I'm sorry. This is going to be one of those games that they get tested, man. I think Missouri is really going to test them. And listen, I know Ultimate Sports Network here is talking about, I think he's calling a blowout by he's calling a blowout. Look, he said Mizzou wins in a blowout. I'm calling it. All right, man. We're gonna hold you to it. We'll see you next week. And
yeah, you better if that's what you're calling, you come in, you show face, you win or lose.
Yeah. You're gonna have to own it. You're gonna have to own it one way or the other. You're gonna have to own it. But listen,
good. Thanks, Adrian. Man, I got the job, so it went good. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man!
It was
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We're finally moving in the right direction here, Q. So
awesome, dude. Awesome, man. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
Very cool. So cutting everything off paid off, right?
Yeah,
Because it was going to be bad, right? If you got shaped up and cleaned everything up, and you're like, damn, I didn't get
went
it.
to an actual like a legit barber shop, and I'm like,
Got cleaned up the right way.
yeah, it helped. But
Awesome.
yeah, man. Now, thanks, Adrian, man. Thanks for always tuning in. I appreciate you. Even though I know you're a Miami sports guy, but I know you're a Dolphins fan, but it's all good. It's just sports. I was saying, like, hey, win or lose, if that's a statement you make, you got to show up. I went on the Dolphins pregame, right? I'm a Jets fan. I'm surrounded by three Dolphins fans. We lose, I told Bobby I'm gonna show up, win or lose. Hey, I showed up. I take it. I support my team. I know we lost, but like, I did call them to lose because the Jets suck. But I'm gonna. You show your face, win or lose, you stand behind it. So I better see you right in here, win or loss, if Alabama or Mizzou wins this game. But Mizzou's. They're turning around. Yes, you have the best running back in the game right now. Leads all college football in rushing yards. Alabama's defense is 63rd in rush yards allowed this year.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That is wild. That Alabama is 63rd.
If you look at, the one thing that I think Alabama needs going is to get their running attack going. If you're looking at Alabama and in the SEC, the leading rusher, not even the leading rusher, their leading rusher on their team is 28th in the SEC in rushing yards. And that's Jam Miller's got 182.
Yeah, Jam Miller was hyped big time coming into the year. He hasn't been healthy though. He's been dealing with injuries really since the beginning of the season. So again, I don't know how healthy he is. Super talented kid. But definitely again, man. The running. You saw Alabama. I don't know. Did you watch the Alabama Georgia game? Alabama could not run the ball against Georgia. Now, granted,
they need to get.
Granted, it is Georgia, so you take the numbers with a grain of salt because it is Georgia, right? And they're always good against the run. But across the board, they have not been able to run the ball this year, right? And then on the other side of things, on the defensive side of the ball, they haven't been able to stop the run. So again, a very un-Saban Alabama-like, right? And they're always good on the line of scrimmage. But this year, again, when you look at the Alabama offensive line, they're ordinary. And don't let Caden Proctor, the 360-pound tackle lining up out wide, catching passes, deter you from the fact that Alabama has been really, really ordinary on the offensive line. Which is wild because they're very talented there, right? And the defensive line is the same way. So, again, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's the lack of Saban input. I don't know what it is. But the line of scrimmage play for Alabama this year has definitely been unlike we've seen in the past, 17-ish years. So it's going to be really interesting to see, man. It's going to be a game. They're going to have to go to Missouri. 12 o'clock kick, which I think it'll be in Missouri. I think it'll be 11 o'clock local time. So we'll see, man. We'll see it. This guy, Ultimate Sports Network, man, he's calling for the route, Missouri over Alabama.
Oh, he's calling a couple of routes. He's calling.
Yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. Like I said,
being a nonpartisan guy who just loves college football, I just want good football. Give me good competitive games. Beat your hind. I think he meant bet your hind.
He said, I'll be here. Look forward to it, man. We look forward to it for sure.
I had to read it once or twice. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just it's all good. We make those those typos once or twice. But being a nonpartisan guy who just loves college football, I'm like, just give me good football games. That's all I want. I want good competitive football games. This is gonna be Missouri's first really big test. That if they can really finally present themselves and we're here in the SEC if they can beat Alabama in Columbia.
Well, also too. Listen, Eli Drinkwitz, again, when you talk about coaches having programs going in the right directions, right? Kurt Signetti, obviously is doing that at Indiana. You got to like, we saw Brett Bielema to a little bit lesser extent, right? At Illinois, Kurt Signetti has been essentially like immediate. He got to Bloomington, in Indiana. I mean, he's got that program immediately, going in the right direction. Obviously, Brett Bielema, but again, man, another guy, that a lot of people don't really mention, in terms of the context, is Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. It's a guy who's got his program, and they won a bunch of games the last couple of years, and not a lot of people talk about them, man. These guys are not an easy out. They're a really good team. They're a good program heading in the right direction. They're recruiting well. They've got some, from everything I've read, they got some NIL backing. So, this is a team in the SEC, man, that quietly is really, really, building something, sustainable there, it seems like. And they are not an easy out, man. That this team is really good. And we're going to see how good they are, this upcoming Saturday. If they win this game, that's a team that'll probably be, again, Alabama's 8, Missouri's 14. If they beat Alabama, they're going to be in the top 10, and people are going to start talking about them.
Definitely should be a great game. I really hope for a great game. I hope the Ultimate Sports Network is wrong, because I want a good football game. So
yeah. When it's not my game, or when it's not my team, I want like 35-33. You know what I mean? Like I want something, high scoring, down to the wire.
No dog in the fight. I just want good football.
I want exciting. That's what I want.
I guess we'll stick in the SEC. Not exciting as much anymore, but I mean, we got the Red River rivalry. It's always, even though Texas is down, this is always a great rivalry. Should be a great game with Oklahoma, Texas this week in the SEC, not the Big 12 anymore. But two teams going in two opposite directions. You got Oklahoma, even with the injury, still good. Was it number 6 right now? And Texas just plummeting after a bad weekend loss against Florida.
Yeah, listen, the fact that John Mateer is possibly going to play in this game, I think just kind of makes it that more interesting. Listen, for everybody hyping Texas, for everybody telling us how great Texas is, this game, I'm telling you right now, if John Mateer plays, this game will not be close.
It won't be Texas by 10%.
If John Mateer plays, they are going to beat the brakes off Texas. I'm telling you right now. Like if he's remotely healthy, they're going to beat the and the problem with him is that is it a hand injury? Yeah, but it's his throwing hand. It's his right hand. So obviously, I don't know how that plays out. I'm surprised that we're going from he's going to be out for basically the rest of the regular season to now he's questionable to play on Saturday. I'm a little bit surprised. Hopefully they do right by the kid and he actually is healthy enough to play, because that would definitely make it a lot more interesting. But listen, I think even without John Mateer there, I think it'll probably end up being a lower scoring game for Oklahoma. But I still have Oklahoma winning this game. Texas does not look good, man. And when you talk about Arch Manning and what he's looked like, to start the season, and now he's got to play against his Oklahoma defense. Listen, whether John Mateer plays or not, I think Oklahoma wins. It's just a matter of, they're going to win by more if John Mateer plays. But I think regardless, I've got Oklahoma winning this game fairly comfortably. I don't think Texas has. I know they don't have a chance in this game, but man, I don't think they win this game. For the way Arch has been playing, this isn't a team that you get right against, right? You've shown what you've shown this year. I don't think you right the ship against a defense like Oklahoma.
No, that defense, Brett Venables finally got him going. I'm with you. I think if Mateer plays, we'll see what he does with surgery to his throwing hand. It's his non-throwing hand. I'd feel a little more confident, but still,
sure.
Not as much because you do have to hold the ball. But to his throwing hand, if they're saying he could come back, like you said, the magnitude of this game, even though Texas is down. I mean, you've got the Dallas Fair going on right outside.
The Texas State Fair, correct? Isn't that
State Fair?
Yeah.
Not the Dallas, whatever. Yeah. My sister's there all the time. She's an
really?
OU. My sister is an OU alum.
Oh wow! Okay, very cool.
So that's how I got the Georgia Oklahoma game. She'll probably be there. She just moved to Dallas. Like today's like just got there today. So
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, it's and she also says it's the Texas State Fair is crazy expensive. She's like,
really?
She's like, I got like 4 wings and fries for $19.
Damn. Those are Miami prices. That's Miami prices right there.
You know those fairs, they jack up the prices because like where the hell else are you gonna go?
Yeah, dude, but I mean, some
17 or 19. It was insane.
Either one is ridiculous. 19 is more ridiculous, but 17 is ridiculous for 4 wings and fries for $17. Damn.
Yeah, but you're like out there at the Cotton Bowl with nowhere else to go. But I mean, I think if Mateer plays, we'll see what he does. But if he's half the QB he was that we saw earlier, I don't see Texas coming around. I mean, you just had a bad loss to Florida. Arch has not looked good so far. I would be like we said before the show and during the show, I'd be very surprised if he does play. If he does and it gets a blowout, I'd pull him early. I mean, like,
I don't know, man.
You know, like
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there in terms of, like pulling him early. Again, I think all that is game flow, right? You just have to see how things go. If it's that big a beatdown, then I think it's probably counterproductive to keep him in there. Again, I don't think it gets to the point where it's a blowout to the point where you pull him. In my opinion, I just don't see him. Listen. If you've been this bad to start the season, the last thing you want to see is a defense like Oklahoma coming in to play you.
I was talking about Mateer. I mean, like,
you talking about if they're up comfortably, I'd be
like,
yeah, If
I feel more comfortable if this was like 2 or maybe 1 or 2 more weeks down the line for Mateer, not Arch. I mean, I don't think I think they're locked in. They got nowhere else to go. You win and die with Arch.
Yeah,
but
I think if you're comfortably ahead and you don't have to give Mateer any reps or anything, right? And assuming you're doing right by him, right, where you're not playing the we're gonna prop him back into the Heisman race, type of idiocy, right? That maybe some teams might dabble in. As long as you're doing right by him, right, and if you're up comfortably, I mean, you take him out of the game and you just kind of mitigate risk at that point, but. Again, I just don't see them having a hard time with Texas, man. I mean, dude, they are like their numbers for Texas when it comes to running the ball. The numbers are so bad. They've got and again they've got talent at running back, right? But the O-line sucks. They can't run the ball. Arch Manning, can't hit the broadside of a barn. Most throws. So I think Texas is in trouble, man. I think Texas is in trouble. And again, if Mateer plays,
Brett Venables got this defense back to the coach we know, and we knew before he got to Oklahoma. And this defense is cooking on all cylinders right now.
The D-line, that D-line looks legit.
So I think the defense is good enough to lead them to a victory. The way Arch is looking, that you wouldn't even have to play Mateer, and they've got a strong enough running game to get it done. But I'm with you. We're Ultimate Sports Network's got Texas by 10. I don't see that happening. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I mean, it is a rivalry game. It's a big game in the state. So I mean, I just don't see Texas finding a way to pull this out.
Yeah. Ultimate Sports Network, my guy. Hey, listen, man. If you want to join, man, let's figure something out, and man, we'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen soon. We'll figure out a day that everybody's available, man, and we'll bring you on, man. We'd love to have you on, and chop it up a little bit.
Oh yeah, thank you for tuning in, man. I hope all your predictions are right. If you throw some money on it and see how it goes. If you get that many points on, I think what
Texas by 10. If I'm assuming he means John Mateer. Texas by 10. If John Mateer's out, oof. Yeah, I got to push back on that one, my man. I don't think Texas wins this game. Listen, if what's the Hawkins, I think, is a starting quarterback, right? If he's the backup, right, to John Mateer, Michael Hawkins. If he's the one that plays, I think I got Oklahoma by about 10. If Mateer plays, they win by like 3 touchdowns. I'm telling you, I don't think this game is going to be close. I don't. Oh, he says he can't bet. He's only 18. Okay. I got you. All right, man. Well, look, 18. You got some good takes. I think this particular take. I think I in my opinion, I disagree. I would strongly push back on this particular take, Texas by 10. If John is out, I think I don't see it, man. I think on the line of scrimmage, I think they're overmatched. Texas can't run the ball. Arch is not throwing the ball well. I think if John Mateer plays, I think Oklahoma blows him out. I think if he doesn't play and Michael Hawkins starts, I've still got Oklahoma by double digits in that particular game. So, we'll see. We'll see. Who's right and who isn't. But yeah, I would not bet any money. Again, now if you're betting the spread, I haven't seen what the spread is. But if you're betting the spread, maybe. But straight up, I wouldn't remotely touch Texas in this game. Do you see the spread on that?
I'm trying to look right now. Texas is actually favored.
What?
Texas is getting a point.
No, they're not.
Oklahoma's getting a point and a half.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, according to ESPN.
What? That's wild. That is wild that Texas is favored. I'm assuming because Mateer is in danger of not playing.
Okay.
Dude, there's no way. There is no way that Texas is winning this game. It's not happening. I'm gonna have to find a way to put some money on that game. I don't listen. They obviously Vegas knows more than any, but that's crazy to me that Texas is favored in this game. That's crazy.
I'm telling you what's going to happen. It's going to be 1.5, and then close to Saturday morning, it's going to start changing, and Oklahoma's favored. So everybody's going to be like, "Oh, hammer in Texas," and then Vegas wins.
Wow, dude, I am shocked.
But yeah, I'm
crazy. Shocked at that.
God, we got Michigan USC this week. Should be a good game. Jaden Maevas looked good, but we got Georgia, Auburn, not so much.
I don't think that's close. I don't think that's close.
No. But those big 4 games should be a great week of football. Should be a great week. Week 7 flying by too quick in my opinion, and I know your opinion too. But should be a nice day to get some drinks and just sit on the couch and do nothing.
Oh yeah. That's probably what I'm doing right there. Yeah, man. The late window has some decent games, right? I think you like you mentioned, Michigan at USC that could be intriguing. We'll see how that goes. I think Georgia Auburn. I don't know. That's going to be close. LSU South Carolina. We'll see. South Carolina I think's been a letdown. North Sellers has been a letdown based on the off-season hype. Texas A&M, Florida, dude. Texas A&M, Florida. I think low key that one I'm interested in.
Yeah,
that one I'm interested in. We're gonna really see, if Florida is making the progress that they say they're making. My man, Will, what is up, buddy? Good to have you on, man. Hope you're good. I'm really interested to see what that Texas A&M Florida game is going to look like, man. It's Florida. Listen, I with a grain of salt, right? We take that win over Texas. Texas has clearly shown that they are a disappointment this year. I think Florida's defense could keep them in that game. I would still have A&M winning it, but I feel like this is going to be a more interesting game that I think maybe some people are making it out to be.
A&M's, I mean, hey, sneaky could get into Atlanta there at the end of the year too.
Yeah. Hey, and right as we were talking about the John Mateer,
Napier has, and Napier, I mean, Napier is like a cat.
Yeah, 10,000 less. Hey, real quick, Pete Thamel on ESPN just put out, said John Mateer has been upgraded to probable on the SEC availability report, a sign of his progress as he recovers from a broken bone in his hand. So, man, look, it's looking more and more like Mateer is going to play, man. So, that'll make things really tough on Texas. But
A&M, I'm with Will. A&M, great. Mike Elko does a great job with that team.
Yeah, dude. Quietly, they look really good. They're up to 5th in the country. Defense looks good. Marcel Reed looks really good. Casey Concepcion looks really good. I mean, they upgraded at receiver through the portal. That's a team that I would not be shocked at this point, right now and where we're at if they're in Atlanta for the SEC title game. I think that's going to be low key. I think. No, not unless somebody gives me tickets. Not for the SEC title game. No, I mean, if somebody gives me tickets,
$600 on tickets. My buddies dropped like $1,200 to go to the college football championship game, TCU Georgia at SoFi, and they were like, "Oh, it was a cool experience." I'm like, "You just saw one of the worst games, and you just spent $1,200."
But who do they root for?
They didn't care.
Okay, no, absolutely not. No, I mean, listen.
They wanted a good game. That's how I was like, I'm not. I was like, they asked me next year. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'll watch it on TV.
Some people are well off enough where they don't mind spending $1,200 on teams that they don't care about. I feel like I do okay, I guess. But me personally, I'm not dropping. Like, I'm not, for example, for that particular game, I live in Atlanta, right? So I'm not flying across the country to pay $1,200 for just the game ticket.
Well,
add to that the flight.
That's why they're in LA.
Okay, yeah, so that's different, right? I mean, but again, right? To me personally, that it's just me. Everybody is entitled to spend money on whatever they want to, but I'm not paying $1,200 to go to a game for two teams that I don't care about. Like, if I'm spending that money, to go to the game, I have to have a rooting interest. If not, I'm just watching it on TV. Me personally. So,
I mean, experience. I got OU versus A&M in the SEC championship. Oregon versus that'd be a great game.
Yeah,
Miami versus Virginia. Whoa.
The
ACC champ. Arizona State, Texas Tech. Miami, Virginia. Wow, that'd be interesting.
Where what as I'm trying to get Will's comment on here. That TCU team, again, he like I just put on there, it was a fluke, man. That team was, again, man, just a team with a lot of upperclassmen, a decent quarterback. They just, again, they got hot at the end of the year, and they, good for them. But yeah, they had no chance in that game.
Is the college football championships in Miami this year?
I believe so, yeah.
Are you going to that if Miami makes it?
Dude, if Miami's in that title game, I don't see me not making it. Like, I'd have to. I couldn't miss that. I've already. I'm not far from Charlotte, so hopefully, come December 6th for the ACC title game, I will be there. If they make it. Listen. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I get you.
cross that bridge if hopefully they get to it, then we'll decide. I'm gonna stay quiet on that one. I have no comment on that. So
you got anything else this week? I mean, all I got is ready for another week of great college football. That's all I got.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I will, man. If that happens, for sure, man, we'll start. We'll create a sob story and we'll create a GoFundMe to help us out for that game because we'll probably need it. You know, based on how much that game would cost. A title game with Miami in it, played in Miami. Lord only knows what the tickets for that are going to go for. So, but again, we'll cross that bridge. You know, if we get to it. No, man, this week outside of what's today? Thursday. No, man, I don't have anything else going on. You know, the rest of the week, I got to work tomorrow. You know, and then Saturday and Sunday, man, just watch football. We'll get together next week. Obviously, you and me, I'll get together more than likely with Will and Adrian, you know, more than likely and you know, chop it up a little bit. But no, the rest of this week, man, I'm pretty clear. I said work and just, you know, be a football junkie on Saturday and Sunday. So that's it, man. Looking forward to that always. So
oh yeah.
But yeah, man, that's it, brother. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, same here.
All right. So listen, guys, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight on College Football Blitz. Appreciate everybody in the comments, man. Will from 305 Sports Now podcast. Go and check him out. Our guy AD, the Rainy Day podcast. We've got the Ultimate Sports Network, our 18-year-old friend joining us on here with a bunch of comments. Hopefully we get to have him on soon and talk about, you know, his picks and see where he was at in terms of being right, being wrong. For everybody who joined us today, man, we appreciate it. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. We definitely appreciate it. On YouTube, follow everybody on the FTSN Extra networks. A lot of good content on both channels. Follow the Rainy Day podcast, my boy Adrian, the 305 Sports Now podcast, my boy Will, and from my boy Russ, I am Q. And we shall see you guys next week sometime. Y'all enjoy the weekend of football, and we shall talk to you guys soon. Take it easy.